Good evening, ladies. How are you guys doing? Oh, did I put y'all all on mute?
Uh,
Long day?
those 3 miles earlier knocked me out.
Remind me to put some stretches in the group for you guys. I sent it to a couple people individually, but remind me to drop some stuff in the group for you guys for your stretching as well. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. If someone comes in, we'll just let them come, and then they'll have the recording for later as well. So today, we are going to go into another femininity workshop. Last week, we covered an area of mind, but we specifically went in a little bit deeper on emotional intelligence. Okay. Excuse me. So I went back and I looked at you guys' survey that you took at the beginning of the challenge, and I pulled out another topic. So this week we are going to be under the category of body, but we are going to talk about body language. Okay. So if you have a pen or paper, go ahead and write down body language. Um, so when you're dealing with body language, the first thing to realize is it's a way of communication. Okay. So of course we have our. Hold on, let me turn off this TV in here. But yes, so the first thing to think about is it's a way of communication. When with our words, we can control what we say, but with our body, a lot of times it talks for us without us even knowing that we're saying anything. So it's important to be aware of it, especially when dealing with femininity and interacting with other people, whether it be business, whether it be relationships, friendships, whatever it may be. So keep that in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is in the process of this feminine and fit challenge, the goal is, of course, to improve the health of your mind, body, and spirit through femininity and fitness. But when you're intentionally doing that, there should be a confidence that comes from that. Okay. And that confidence can be seen through your body language. Also, if you start working on your body language, you'll notice that you start to feel a little better. I don't know if you guys have noticed or paid attention whenever let's say there's an event or something at work, or you're going somewhere with your spouse or significant other, or maybe girlfriends or whatever, and you get all dressed up, and all of a sudden your movement changes, right? And you're like, I wasn't even trying to like walk a certain way or be a certain way. It's just the way that we felt on the inside started coming on the outside. So even on those days that we might not feel that sparkle or that pizzazz, being intentional about, okay, if I can recreate that feeling on the inside, then maybe I can get it on the outside. Or if I can be intentional about my body language on the outside, maybe that energy can transform inwardly as well. Okay. So working both ways. I always think about it like medication, right? You might take something, if you have some kind of infection, you might take something, a pill, but you might also rub some cream on the outside as well. So that's what we're doing with the body language thing. Okay. Um, put a number 1 for our first note. So our first note is going to be about your posture and alignment. Okay. Without you saying anything, someone can look at you and look at your posture and give their thoughts on you immediately without saying anything. Now, as we talk about body language, I'm going to be talking a lot about how you're perceived. Okay. It's very important to pay attention to how you're perceived. It's not necessarily caring what people think too much or changing how you are for anyone else, but being that we live in a world where we interact with other people, it is something to consider. Also, when we talk about our desired outcomes, if you do have the desired outcome to build relationships, whether it be friendships or intimate relationships, that's something to consider as well. So when I'm talking about how you're perceived, don't get into the mindset of, oh, Kiki wants me to worry about what everybody's thinking about me, or getting in the mindset where you're like, well, I don't care, this is me, I don't care what people think. It is not that. It is making sure that what's going on in your head, the positive energy that I know that you ladies are consistently bringing and pouring out to others, making sure that when it can be perceived in a positive light, it is. And that we're not doing all of this internal work and then nobody gets to see it because we have a resting bee face, is what they call it, okay? So that posture, I'm going to scoot back just a little bit so you can see me. If I'm here and I'm talking to you guys, and of course I get really comfortable with you guys, right? But if I came on, you didn't know who I was, and I was like, hey y'all, I'm going to talk to y'all about being feminine and fit. Does this give somebody that you want to listen to? You know what I mean? And you have to consider that the way you perceive other people, the way you look at it, and then you have to apply that for yourself. I might still be an amazing person. You might still think I'm friendly. You might still think I'm feminine, but this doesn't give off a person that you would want to listen to about anything. So keep that in mind in business. Keep it in mind when you're out with your girlfriends and everything, especially if you are in the dating market, okay? If you are out at a restaurant and eligible bachelor sees you and you're over there like this, he may or may not talk to you, okay? And if he does talk to you, the mindset that he's going in with talking to you may be different. It may come off as insecure, as somebody that they can just walk over, do it as they wish, you know, or whatever they may be. So keep that in mind. Bring those shoulders back, down, head up. And then also something to consider too is finding that balance, okay? Because I could also give off the wrong energy with my body language. I'll give you an example again. Let's say I'm out with the girlfriends and my posture is up, but now I'm like this. Now I'm giving off this vibe. Is like, what is she looking for? You know, is she trying to be seen? Now that energy is very different from the other energy, but you have to ask yourself, is your body language sending the message that you want to send? Okay. So definitely watch out for the posture, but also other mannerisms as well. Okay. Number 2, we're going to write down facial expressions. Man, facial expressions. That is an intense one. I know so many people, and I used to be one of those people as well, that said, I may not say it, but you can always tell what I'm thinking by my face. If that is you, you have to work on, I have no problem. Yes, you have to work on it, okay? And again, this is not saying change who you are. This is not saying that there's something wrong with it, but you have to remember whatever your desired outcome is. We said that at the beginning of the challenge. I want you guys to come up with what your individual desired outcome is, and you have to make sure that everything in a line, whether it be the emotional intelligence, whether it be body language, is in line to getting your desired outcome. I'll go back to the other dating scenario again. If I am available and my desired outcome is to have a relationship with someone, let's say I want marriage. Let's say I want marriage, I want family. Because there's a difference. I want a marriage and family versus, casual dating or whatever, right? Now, of course, you don't meet somebody at a restaurant and be like, could you be my husband? No, I'm not saying that. But the mindset going in of the type of relationships you're trying to develop, it makes a difference. So this tells one thing. This tells another thing. And this tells another thing. But the facial expressions can put it all together even more intensely, okay? Because let's say I'm sitting up, my posture is right, and I'm thinking, okay, let me make sure the posture is right, keeping it feminine. But let's say I have that face that tells everything, every thought in the world. And let's say somebody is looking at me, don't even know it, somebody's looking at me and they're considering approaching, and I'm sitting here and all of a sudden I'm like, looking at my face, it's like, oh no, she got an attitude, or you know, the go-to word that people say, what do they say? Bougie. Oh, she's bougie, right? Now I am a little bit bougie, but in my head, I could be thinking, why is that music so loud? Like, what is going on? I'm like, why is it so loud? Or somebody could come by with a plate and I'm thinking, oh, that smells good. Oh my goodness, I want that. In my head, I'm thinking about food, but on the outside, even though my posture is right, my facial expression looks like I have a problem or an issue. So you have to be mindful of that and start practicing it. I know it's a weird thing to do. Back in the day, I have a theater background, but we used to do these facial exercises. Do like big face, and you go little face, sad face, and just get those facial muscles moving sometimes. And you know, if you have a resting B face, when that kind of comes off as, you know, not so positive, practice your smile. Practice your smile. It is clinically proven that when your face goes into the motion of a smile, your body starts to release certain chemicals that actually make you a little bit more happy. Now, I'm not saying if the world is coming down on you and you sit there and smile like this, all of a sudden you're going to feel better. I'm not saying that, but it may be, you might not feel as terrible. Okay. And it's good to practice those facial expressions, because if it is an intense situation that could make a difference, you know, you want to make sure that your face isn't giving off the wrong message. Because I have a bad face if I don't smile. Yes. And always, whenever I talk about facial expressions, I love to give the example. I wish my mom was on here. Oh, man. I love to give the example of when we were doing our lives, like podcast style, before it was like, you know, everybody's doing little podcast things now. But we used to do one called Below the Whistle. Me and my mom did it together. And me and my mother are exactly 30 years apart. So as you would imagine, the difference on topics, because she's my mother, a lot of stuff we agree on, but because of the age difference, some stuff she's like, oh no. And I'm like, but yes. And she's like, oh no. So we talked about some pretty interesting things. And we also brought on guests to talk with us sometime. I always had to remind my mom, I'm like, you're on live. It's literally your face there. I'm like, they can see you. Everybody can see you. Even if it's one other person on the screen, it's literally your face. It isn't a body. It isn't a pre-recording. We can't go back and edit it out. It's your face. And so what I started doing, especially if I had a guest on and they were talking, I would do a slight smile and I would nod as they were talking. In my head, I might be like, oh, this dude is delusional, or oh, what in the world is this lady talking about? But to avoid the face of like, because right now I'm looking at Miss Dom, I'm like, but on the outside, nobody knows. It's like it's they just see me. When you guys are looking at this, you just see my face, right? And oh look, she jumped on. Let me see when her volume is connected. Hey mom, we was just talking about you. I was talking about when we were doing Below the Whistle, we're talking about body language, but we got on the topic of facial expressions. And I was telling them how I had to tell you that your face is literally in the camera during the live. And I was talking about how, you know, we'll do the smile and nod head when people are talking, and so it's not as intense. But even for you guys, if anybody works from home, hey, that's a go-to. You're in a meeting and in your head, you like, this meeting could have been an email. Why are we doing this? Nod, slightly nod, shake your head, and keep going about your business. Keep going about your business. You could be finishing up some other work, whatever you're doing, but it also makes people feel like you are attentive to what they're saying. for the sake of this, y'all do what y'all do. I don't care if the camera's off. It's not that deep. I'm not going to put y'all pressure on that. But
should see my facial expression right now.
Oh Lord, I know she's probably no. We don't need to see it. Let us keep the American income background. That's okay. But yes, so keep that in mind with those facial expressions, and you want to make sure that if you are in that type of situation, you want to appear approachable. If you want to be approached, right? Now, if you don't want to be approached, you can still be pleasant. Okay, I'm not saying be like, leave me alone. But all of these things are factors. So your posture, we talked about posture. Now we're talking about facial expressions. Now we're going to talk about voice and tone. Okay, voice and tone. Now, how many times have we had situations where we have said, or someone has said to us, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. All of those things make a difference. When we think femininity, you all automatically think softness. And now I'm not saying that everybody has to be soft, okay? But again, whatever that desired outcome is, you want to make sure that the things that you're doing, the way you're doing them, are conducive to the desired outcome. Again, I'm going back to the dating scenario. If you're talking to somebody, someone comes up and they're like, hey, how you doing? And you're like, how you doing? What? It was like, why are you saying it like that? It's like, okay, was that like I don't want to talk to you? Was that a like, like what, it makes a person kind of like self-analyze. This is another thing that I noticed, and this is kind of going a little bit off of the voice and tone part, but it's a little commercial break. And I'm gonna give props to my boyfriend for this one. Just because you're not interested doesn't mean that you have to be rude. I'm going to say that again. Just because you're not interested doesn't mean that you have to be rude. Now, if you are with somebody, you're married, you're in a relationship, I'm not saying be flirting and doing too much. Kiki did not say that. Y'all are not about to have y'all significant others coming to me about anything. I didn't say it. It's on the, make sure this recorder is on. I did not say that. But what I am saying is, if somebody comes up, and that's rather, if somebody comes up there, hey, how you doing? How you doing? Da, 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 da. You're so beautiful. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Oh, now once they ask or once they get to the point, you can say, oh, no, I'm seeing someone right now, but I appreciate you coming up. I never thought about it, how intense and horrifying it must be for men to have to approach women. Like, if you think about it, trying to read the body language, most of us aren't thinking about our body language, and we're just us. So we're probably sitting there like, ooh, honey, and then trying to read somebody and like, okay, should I approach this one? Well, then let me see if I see a ring, or well, I can't really tell, but maybe she didn't wear the ring tonight, or trying to analyze all of this, and then getting the courage to go to a woman and approach, only to get, oh, I'm good, and the back turn. Just because you're not interested does not mean you have to be mean or rude. Somebody gives you a compliment, thank them. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm beautiful. Thank you so much. And keep it moving. Or if it's somebody that you're interested in, then you can have the conversation. Okay, that's commercial break. So back to the voice and tone. Be careful of the voice and tone, but also your voice and tone can give the idea of confidence and security, right? Especially if that's something that you're working on. If you're like, hey, I'm in the process of improving my confidence, make sure you're speaking up when somebody is talking, when you're talking to someone. Now, I'm not saying be loud or aggressive, but for somebody to keep having, what did you say? What did you say? It's like, okay, maybe I need to be clearer. Maybe I need to enunciate my words a little bit more, and let me speak up and speak confidently so that somebody can hear me. What did you say? I never thought about, Yes. And then not only in the dating world for approaching, but even business opportunities, especially for people who are entrepreneurs working in projects on your job, all of those things. If you're not approachable, they just won't work with you. You know what I mean? It's like you might not even know that somebody might want you to help them with something else on the side that could pay you, if you're working a 9 to 5, it could maybe pay you double, triple, quadruple what you're making. But if you're not approachable, they will never ask. One thing I will say is when I was in corporate, I had so many opportunities just because the people liked me. There was this guy, every time I want somebody to go here that I'm trying to refer to something, they ain't on here. But my mom popped up after, so maybe Tanil will come up. We used to work together back in the day. She was one of the directors at the company, and I was working in HR. But there was this guy, and the CFO. He was always like he was one of those bosses that when he came in, everybody got quiet. Like everybody on the floor got quiet. Do you think I did? No. I was like, hey! I was almost saying his name. Let me give him a fake name so I don't accidentally say his name. Okay, we're going to call him Bob. I was like, hey, Bob, how you doing? And he'd be like, he was so awkward because I spoke to him. He was like, wait, why is she speaking to me? We would go in the coffee room, getting coffee on the other side. I'm like, hey, you better hold off on that sugar and laugh it off. I would be cracking jokes about he wouldn't laugh. Like, he'd be like, I made him feel uncomfortable because I was so nice to him. And after a while, start saying, hey, Shakira, would you mind doing A, B, C, and D? Like, hey, Shakira, would you mind handling A, B, C, and D? Hey, could you? And I started working directly with the CFO of this company, Now it caused all other problems later on because then my boss got mad. Like, she thought he was supposed to go with her first. But that's besides the point. But the point of what I was saying is your personality, the energy that you give off can set up so many opportunities for you. And you can have so much positive energy. You could be so loving, so friendly, and people would never know because that outer shell of a body isn't approachable or is giving off something that you don't even know is giving off. Be careful with letting your emotions and body language transfer as well. And what I mean by that is just because you had a bad morning doesn't mean you have a bad afternoon, doesn't mean you have a bad evening, doesn't mean you have a bad day. You hit your toe in the morning. There's no reason why you should be going to work with an attitude because your toe hurt. That energy transfers, and it will be in your body language if you don't allow it, or if you're not aware of it and you don't correct it, okay? Because now all of a sudden you're annoyed. You're going in the store annoyed, or maybe you're even thinking about something else, but that body language is still resting in that irritation place. So you look irritated. It might not even be that big of a deal, but you look irritated. So now other people who aren't working on their mental, spiritual, and physical like you are, now they're like picking up on it. And now all of a sudden they say something smart. Now you gotta go through your emotional intelligence list of how to handle the situation when it could have all been avoided by just being pleasant. In the last Feminine and Fit Challenge, I put a video of Simone Biles, the gymnast, in the group. And in the group, somebody was interviewing her, and they said to her, like, people give you all of these compliments and they tell you how awesome you are, and you barely smile, and you barely say anything. You barely say thank you. And she was like, she kind of laughed a little bit, and she was like, yeah, that doesn't give me gold medals. Now, if the desired outcome is gold medals and smiling isn't conducive to that, okay. However, I would imagine, she's doing pretty well for herself, even outside the gymnastic thing. But I would imagine if she was a more friendly, approachable person, those deals, Nikes, Adidas, whoever, would be coming a little bit faster because the energy is there to support the person. You could be a great, phenomenal person, talented, educated, whatever. But if that exterior looks hard, feels harsh, when you speak, if it seems like you're upset about something, even when you're not, it makes a difference. And it could prevent you from getting to your desired outcome, which is what this is all about. Unfortunately, ladies, men can get away with it. We can't. No, it ain't fair, but guess what? Life isn't fair. It's just one of those things. It's just one of those things. The next thing I want you to write down, and the last one, is personal space, okay? Being aware of personal space and your space in relation to other people. Now, this one could go in a little bit, well, really all of them could go in a little bit deeper. But making sure that your body language, your interactions, your mannerisms are conducive to letting people know what you need them to know. I'm going back to the dating scenario again. And this is important too, because when I tell you I'm so awkward, like when I'm like back when I was trying to flirt, it didn't work. It was like I was over there just awkward, like, hey, so what is she doing? And in my head, I'm like, what am I doing? Right? And then when I'm just being myself, it's like, oh, were you flirting? You like him? I'm like, no, I'm just like friendly. Like, what do you mean? Right? But body language, mannerisms, be aware of how your body is turned. If you're talking to someone and you're interested, are you facing away from them? So let's say if you were sitting at a bar or something and someone comes up and talks to you, if you're interested, but you're still talking to them over your shoulder, this is closed off. All of this gives the vibe, hey, I don't want to keep talking to you. Now, not saying you just spin around and be like, hey, baby, but open it up a little bit. Maybe cross your leg the other way so that it's turned now towards them. Even if you're in a relationship, lean towards them some. Business, leaning slightly forward, that gives receptive, hey, I'm listening to you. Also, back to that voice and tone. I learned this back in the day when I was studying communication. Talking to somebody, and I tried it before. Like, have you ever talked to someone and it just seemed like they're just loud, right? You're just like, why are they so loud? Next time that happens to you, I want you to try lowering your voice and start talking to them a little bit lower. And what's going to happen is, in addition to their voice going down, they are going to start leaning into you because they want to hear what you're saying. And it's almost more intimate, right? Playing with those voice levels, playing with the body language, leaning in, making eye contact. Eye contact is key too. Now, don't do the creepy eye contact where you're just staring at somebody, because that's a whole other thing. But it's okay to look at people in the eye when you're talking to them. Let them know that what they're saying to you is important and that it matters. Okay? It makes a difference. Trust me, it makes a difference. Pay attention to your hands. I've had plenty of times where I'm like, well, what do I do with my hands? I'm like, but where do I put them? I don't know what to tell you. I don't know where to put them either. But a gentle touch on the wrist. Now, I'm not saying harass anybody. That's in the recording too. But if you're talking to someone, it's okay to touch their hand, leaning in and touch their hand, especially if it's an intimate moment. Maybe somebody is sharing something personal with you. Maybe they're dealing with something. Touching their hand while you're talking to them, just a little touch, and then coming back. That shows, hey, I care about what you're saying. A lean in, I care about what you're saying. Even with family, friends, somebody's telling you something deep and you turned off this way. And they're like, oh, my life is over. And you're like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry that happened to you. This gives, I don't care, So be mindful of it. And I'm giving you guys homework because I do it every challenge. Rosie is familiar with this one. So your challenge going into our next femininity workshop. So this is every day. Every day, no matter if you're washing the dishes, no matter if you're at work, no matter if you're walking down the street, no matter if you're in the grocery store, okay? What I want you to do is I want you to imagine, actually it's multi-levels. So let me send it back. Get your pens ready. Everybody get your pens. So the first level is, or the first thing is to pay attention to how you move in space. So that means when you come into a room, whether it's a grocery store, whether it's work, pay attention to your body language. So start to notice things about yourself. Hey, am I slouched over? Okay, let me put my chest down. Let me sit my head up. Am I talking a little low? When I walked in the room and I said good morning, did anybody even hear me? Now, sometimes people are doing other stuff, but if you walk in the room and you're like, good morning, nobody heard that. Like, you know they did. So paying attention to what you do naturally without thinking about body language. The next step is taking what we discussed tonight and applying it. So working on that posture, working on those facial expressions, paying attention to our voice and our tone, and then making sure that we are aware of other people's personal space. Okay? And it doesn't necessarily mean get out of their space, but if you're in their space, make sure you're intentional about it and make sure that the things that you're doing or not doing is getting to your desired outcome, right? And then the third thing, this is the thing that I was going to say at first, is you're going to imagine that you have paintbrushes everywhere. Paintbrushes on your fingertips, paintbrushes on your boobs, paintbrushes on the sides of your hips coming out, paintbrushes on your butt cheeks. Everywhere there are paintbrushes. And as you walk and you move through life in the grocery store, down the street, cleaning the bathroom, washing dishes, whatever you're doing, I want you to paint. But as you're painting, I want you to try to paint smooth movements, okay? So nothing sharp, nothing hard, smooth movements, okay? Don't fall through a window or almost fall through a window like Tennille was telling us in the last challenge. She said she went in, I think, for a car rental, and she said she was just painting away with her body and lost balance and almost fell through the window in the rental place. So don't do that. But see how that movement, that soft, flowy movement, think about it as dancing through the air. If you need to pick a color of paint that you want to be coming from your body, do whatever you need to. Everything, if you normally come into work and you're like, hey, y'all. Nope. This time we're, hey, y'all. Painting through the air. Okay? If normally you give a fist pump, bow. Now we are fist pumping. We're painting through everything. And as you are painting through life, I want you to take notes of it. I want you to take note of how you feel. Okay? I want you to take note of, is there even a difference from what you normally did? Do people on the outside perceive you differently? Does anybody ask, what are you doing? You know, we had a couple people, their significant others was like, girl, what are you doing? That's fine. Take notes on all of that. Tisha last time, she said she realized that she had a lot of soft qualities. She said, because nobody noticed the difference. She said she came in, but she said she's always bubbly and excited. She never even knew that she was painting. She wasn't doing it on purpose. So pay attention to it. If it's awkward for you, that's okay. That's fine. Write that down. Take a note of it. See if you can figure out why it's awkward, you know? Maybe it's awkward because you're sore from the workout. Maybe it's awkward just because you're still getting comfortable in your skin. And that's okay. All of those things are okay. But I want you to take note of it. And when we come back, we are going to talk and share. Okay? Now we have the group. So if something interesting happens or you feel like sharing in the group, definitely get in there. Y'all, I was painting in the grocery store today. Somebody bought my groceries. I really do wish that on all of y'all, though, because groceries are high in the U.S. right now. It's not so bad over here, but groceries are high in the U.S. But just pay attention to it. Take note. Share. Okay? Talk about it. You might notice that somebody else has something similar to you. Maybe it sparks an idea. Maybe it's like, I never noticed that. It could be something physical. Maybe you had an injury way back in the day and you notice that you stopped moving that way because it feels funny when you do. Okay? Pay attention to everything. Take note of everything. All right? Now, does anyone have any questions about anything that I've said up until this point? Any questions about your homework? Any questions about anything to do with body language? Or comments are fine too. Good. Going once. Going twice. Look, let me stop before y'all start doing me like y'all was doing this morning. I was like, dang, they got another question. But no, it's okay. All right. And if you guys think of anything else after this, let me see. I wish my paintbrushes were bigger on my hips. Rosie said she wishes her paintbrushes was bigger on her hips. It's okay. We can work on putting a little muscle on it. Yes. Awesome. Okay. So everybody is good. Keeping me updated. And also, so I want to encourage you guys to be in the group. I want to encourage you guys to post in the group. Also post on your pages. If you're okay with posting on your pages, post on there. Tag me in it. Put it on your story. Let people know what you're doing. That could be an additional level of accountability there. You tell somebody, hey, I'm doing a Feminine and Fit challenge. I'm going to be in the gym 5 days a week. Somebody's going to ask. Somebody's going to be like, oh, you're still working out? And not only that, when they see you, they're going to be sizing you up, trying to see where you're working out. So that's that added accountability. You don't want nobody to look at you and be like, nah, she wasn't working out. So that'll help you to stay on what you're supposed to be doing too. All right. So I encourage y'all to do all of those things. And then, of course, I'm always here if you need to reach out to me about anything. Okay. Fitness related, femininity related, any of the conversations that we had. If you wake up in the morning and you're like, you know what? I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling nothing. And then it's like, hey, what are you not feeling? You're like, I don't even know. I'm just not feeling it. I am here. Okay? I am here. All of you guys have my phone number. Don't hesitate to reach out. Okay? Don't take it lightly, because I hear things sometimes, and I've had it in challenges. People will fall off and they're like, well, this was going on and my mom was this. And I'm like, I'm here. Use me. Okay. Well, I hope you guys have a phenomenal night. I am going to be traveling tomorrow morning. I'm still going to be in Panama, but I'm going to be out way far. I'm gonna be like a beach living for a couple days, literally like beach living, like a hut on the beach. I'm kind of excited, but I'm kind of nervous a little bit too. So wish me luck. I don't know if I will have access to like a charger and stuff like that. I'm gonna bring my battery pack. But just keep in mind the next couple of days, I may not be as active in the group as normal, okay? So if you ask me a question and I miss it, see if you can put it in the group, see if somebody else can help. Or if you send me a message and I don't respond, send it one more time. There's also a chance that I may have missed it, or it came in or didn't have a signal or something like that, okay? So just keep that in mind for the next couple of days. I'm going to be out in the water wilderness, but I am still here and available to each and every one of you guys. All right. Have a wonderful day. I love you guys. Everybody good? All right. See you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good evening, everyone.
Have fun. Safe travels.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a great time.
Thank you. All right, guys. So that was the end of our femininity workshop. Last week, we talked about emotional intelligence. Like I said before, what the Feminine and Fit 30-Day Challenge is a challenge that's dedicated to women who want to improve the health of their mind, body, and spirit through femininity and fitness. We're doing all of this ideally to get to our desired outcomes. I am living a life that I can say is better because I am a feminine and fit woman. Okay. And femininity, a lot of times people think, oh, we're just gonna put on some heels and float around. No, it's not that. Yes, it does incorporate some things that could have to do with the way you dress, the way you move in the world, things like that. But it's not just that. And we dive deep in the Feminine and Fit 30-day challenge. So definitely go and check that out at feminineandfit.com. You can also check out my personal website, which is kikiblack.com, KIKIBLACK. Make sure you put the www before that, and definitely join the Feminine and Fit Challenge. This is the last one that I'm doing individually as a challenge. After that, it will be more of a movement. I don't want to make it a challenge thing. It's a lifestyle. So the Feminine and Fit lifestyle, I give different things to read. We give different motivational videos, tips, exercises, going through the breakdown of exercises, how to properly execute them, as well as the modifications, but just women who have the desire to be better mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, okay, while learning more about femininity. So if that is you, I definitely encourage you to join the movement. You will not be disappointed. And make sure you follow me on all social media platforms. And it is at KIKIIBLACK. Again, that is KIKIIBLACK.